His Excellency, Mr. Reuven Rivlin, dear, honorable, and distinguished guests, we are delighted to welcome you here today to take part in this special celebration of science, scholarly collaboration, and friendship between the Israel Academy of Science and Humanities and the French Academy of Science, in honor of Israel's 70th birthday. Thank you all for coming to take part in today's conference. An exceptional day awaits us. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, Mr. Reuven Rivlin, the President of the State of Israel.
Good morning, everyone. President of Israel Academy of Science and Humanities, Nili Cohen. Chief Executive Officer of the French Academy of Science, Professor Catherine Bréchignac. I'm sure that I didn't pronounce it correctly. The Ambassador of France, Republic, Hélène, I pronounced it correctly, Nobel Prize winners, distinguished guests. All of you, my dear friends, well, the relationship between the Jews and France, between Israel and France, are among the very, very oldest. When people think of France, they think of Paris, the Eiffel Tower, the French Revolution. But when Jews think of France, they also think on one of our greatest rabbi, Rav Shlomo Yitzchaki, Alohu Rashi. The title of this event, Science Without Borders. And so, I open my Rashi commentary on the Torah for the explanation of the term border. And indeed, Rashi says that a border is a limit or an end, in which case science without borders is science that has no end, no limit, infinite science. But actually, science without borders can mean two things. First, political. Science cannot be limited by political boundaries of one kind or another. The second meaning is deeper. Science itself is infinite. Wisdom is infinite. Science cannot be limited by political boundaries because science itself is infinite. Wisdom is infinite. The State of Israel is proud to advance science and development, arts and creativity. They believe that science can bring a better future is written in the DNA of the State of Israel. Two of my predecessors, two of the 10 presidents that we had till now, were scientists. The first president, Dr. Chaim Weizmann, was a chemist. And the fourth president, Professor Ephraim Katzir, was a biophysicist. And even as president, Ephraim Katzir remained a scientist. Every weekend, he would finish his formal duties as a president and drive from the president just here, next door to here, to the Weizmann Institute, to spend the weekend at his lab, and to teach. He knew that if he want science without borders, countries need to cooperate and to invest in science. He knew that if you want to make a better world, countries need to invest in science. And he also knew that if you want a strong country, a country that takes care of its civilians, you simply have to invest in science. Well, distinguished guest, almost 71 years after its establishment, the small state of Israel is an international power thanks to Israeli science and Israeli scientists. Some of the very best of them are here sitting with us today. When I travel the world, I'm amazed by the profound meaning of science without borders. I see Israeli scientific discoveries and invention that help save lives and improve quality of lives all around the world. For someone like me, who was born before the State of Israel was founded, who will never take its existence of the State of Israel as obvious, this is a real marvel. And the Israeli Academy of Science and Humanities take much of the credit for this marvel. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a productive conference. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here today, and bless you all. All the best.
I would like to thank His Excellency, the President, for his participation in this event. Okay, so I would like to call the President of the Academy, the Israel Academy of Science and Humanities, Professor Nili Cohen, please.
Dear President Rivlin, my dear friends, colleagues, students, with your permission, some words in French. Monsieur le Président d'Israël, notre cher ami Ruvi Rivlin, professeur Catherine Bréchignac, ma chère amie et la chère amie d'Israël et de la science israélienne, mes chers amis de la délégation française, l'ambassadrice Hélène Legal, distingués amis, collègues, étudiants. Je suis enthousiaste et heureuse de célébrer avec vous ici, à l'Académie nationale israélienne des sciences et de l'humanité, les 70 ans de l'État d'Israël. Nous avons eu le grand plaisir de célébrer de manière royale la coopération scientifique entre la France et l'Israël à Paris il y a 6 mois. Et maintenant, le deuxième fruit de la collaboration. Chère Catherine, chère délégation française, nous vous sommes profondément reconnaissants. Et avec votre permission, je passe à l'anglais, notre commune langue officielle. So, thank you. The theme of our joint workshop is Science Without Borders. It reflects both a positive perception and a wishful understanding of our current situation. Universities have existed for almost 1,000 years. They underwent radical changes, but they have always been natural carriers of the globalization process. Knowledge is not enclosed within boundaries, nor is it attached to a certain place. Our Israeli Nobel laureates, among them present here, Avram Hershko, Ada Yonat, Israel Uman, are the product of scientific education in Israel and abroad. Ada Yonat made her groundbreaking discoveries in France, in Grenoble. We must therefore guarantee our close connections with the entire academic world. We need science without borders. The quest for truth and the desire for knowledge are the foundation of the world of science. They create a unified language which connects foreigners and those who are distant. The language of science overcomes cultural, national, religious, and gender differences. It transcends boundaries. There is no place for any boycott in this world. A year ago, we launched in Jordan, not far away from us, Sesame, a third-generation synchrotron light source. It is the Middle East's first major international research center assisted by the European community. This cooperative venture by scientists and governments aims first to foster scientific and technological excellence in the Middle East and neighboring countries. Second, to build scientific and cultural bridges between diverse societies and contribute to a culture of peace through international cooperation in science. I'm proud to tell you that our Academy leads the project on behalf of Israel. To see scientists from Iran, Turkey, Pakistan, Syria, Egypt, Jordan, and Israel working together gives us not only pride, but hope. We are grateful to you, our dear French friends, for your deep friendship, for the universal belief in human spirit, for the deep understanding that science has no borders. Following your exemplary mode in which you hosted us, we invited to this gathering high school students. I'm sure this encounter will leave a deep impact on them. Cooperation with French science enriches us and everyone else. From France, we have drawn not only scientific inspiration, but also spiritual inspiration. Good science can exist in an atmosphere of freedom, tolerance, and solidarity. And these values, liberté, égalité, fraternité, the whole world has attracted from you. I would like to conclude with hope and gratitude. My hope is that science serve as the bridge of peace here in our region and elsewhere for the advancement of all mankind. And finally, gratitude. We are grateful to you all, Catherine, Claude, Odile, Thibault, Pascal, Eric, to all our friends from France for this wonderful scientific celebration and for the continuous collaboration between the two academies, between both countries. Vive la France, vive l'Israël.
I would like to call Professor Catherine Bréchignac, Secrétaire perpétuel of the Académie des Sciences.
I'm sorry, but I cannot speak in Hebrew. Shalom. Mr. President, Madame l'Ambassadrice de France, Madame the President of Israeli Academy of Science and Humanities, dear Nili, dear friends. For more than 30 years, France has been honoring its bilateral relations during cultural seasons. Seasons that result from international and political commitment. This year is the season France-Israel. It corresponds to the 70th birthday of the State of Israel. Israel and France are countries that by the quality of their research advance knowledge. This is the reason why, together, the French Academy of Sciences and the Israel Academy of Science and Humanities wanted to show the excellence of our scientific cooperation. with the universities, the University of Tel Aviv, of Jerusalem, of Ben Gurion, but also with the Institute, the Technion Institute, and the Weizmann, with whom we organize all this event, and I want to thank David for that. For this celebration, we have received in June in Paris, under the coupole of l'Institut de France, some of the Nobel laureates from Israel and from France to present recent advances in science. We have also organized very interesting discussion between high school students and Nobel laureates in order to provoke scientific vocation among young people. And I'm pleased to see today all the young students there, and I think you will try to understand what's going on. Today in Israel, we meet again for the Science Without Borders, because science is open and universal. It's fed on meeting exchanges between researchers all around the world. And I take the opportunity of this talk to thank Nili again and all of you who make this event a real success. Science is a human adventure. It seduces by its universality, but it worries by its omnipresence. It consists of all the knowledge acquired through study, reflection, experience, and reason. It is universal and demonstrable. In a short, we can say that the physicist is in charge of the identity of identifying the law of the nature. In a sense, he is a legislator. The chemist uses this law to understand, analyze, and create inert matter. And the biologist does the same to decrypt life. The verb to believe does not belong to scientific domain, and science cannot answer everything. In 5 centuries, human knowledge has grown considerably, but the frontier between knowledge and ignorance still poses difficulties for our societies. Since scientific knowledge is part of the heritage of humanity, it should be, with no further delay, transmitted to all of us. Every human being has a desire to discover and to understand nature of which he is a part. But he wants also to create. The evidence of this thirst of creation is already on the walls of caves where the prehistoric man left us the traces of its creative thought. Create is inherent to human being, and scientific knowledge is useful to understand, to predict, but also to create. Create cities, bridges, various architecture, create robots, machines, create gardens, create new tasters, create new varieties of roses. But now, the knowledge of the genetics makes some questions, and ethics questions knock at the door. Do we want to modify ourselves? Do we want to create life? And this will be an issue that all of us have to face in the near future. In the current context also of the new tools that man has developed and called artificial intelligence, which allow us already to go more quickly and more efficiently to a solution of a problem, the gap is growing between those who acquire technological knowledge and the vast majority of those who do not care or are only interested in the result or who are not in position to learn. Too big a gap would inevitably lead to a fracture of humanity, a domination of a small part on the whole, and this is the biggest mistake we can make. Archaeologists, to conclude, I want to say that archaeologists teach us the duration. 300,000 years ago, man had mastered fire. 30,000 years, he drew on the walls of caves. 6,000 years, he invented writing. 500 years, he built the scientific approach. And today, we know that our planet is livable for about 2 billion years. So we have time to think. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to call Hélène Legal, the ambassador of France to Israel.
כבוד הנשיא ראובן ריבלין, נילי כהן יקרה, chère Catherine Bréchignac, מהדענים צרפתים וישראלים, אורחים יקרים. אני לא מדברת עברית כמו נילי כהן מדברת צרפתית. עכשיו באנגלית. I'm honored to take part in this conference, organized jointly by the Israeli Academy of Science and Humanities and the French Academy of Science within the framework of the French-Israeli cross season. This year is a very particular one concerning the relationship between our two countries. 120 events take place in Israel from June to the end of November. For this season, we wish to go beyond a classical cultural program and involve also the fields of scientific excellence, creativity, and innovation, as well as to reach the young public. Today's conference perfectly fulfills these criteria and constitutes a highlight for the final week of the season, as its twin event was organized in Paris at the beginning of the season in June. I would like to warmly thank Nili Cohen and Catherine Bréchignac for their commitment in this project, which is a new milestone in our long-term cooperation between the two academies and also the professors involved in the conference. We all share the same goal, promoting scientific education in order to stimulate interest for research. I am very happy to see a young audience in this auditorium. I would also like to encourage you to visit two beautiful exhibitions proposed in the framework of the season. The exhibition about risks at the Bloomfield Museum of Science in Jerusalem, called On the Edge, created by Universcience, and the Coral Reefs photo exhibitions staged at the Steinhardt Museum of Natural History in Tel Aviv, created jointly with the French National Museum of Natural History. Scientific cooperation between our two countries is intense and of high level. The numerous scientific and academic events organized for the cross-season illustrate this special relation. I would like to mention two examples. Last week, an international conference was organized in Sde-Boker by the Israeli Ministry of Science and the Israeli Space Agency with CNES, the French Space Agency, to present the first results of Venus, the French-Israeli satellite was launched in 2017 to observe the evolution of vegetation on Earth in order to fight against climate change. The second example relates to the Weizmann Institute, which organized a conference on lasers in June with the Laboratoire d'Optique Appliquée, a research unit operated under the supervision of ENSTA Paris Tech, CNRS, and École Polytechnique. They have also signed an agreement to develop cooperation. And this French lab became very famous a few weeks ago when one of his researchers and former head, Gérard Mourou, was awarded the 2018 Nobel Prize in Physics. I would like to conclude by inviting you all to actively continue to contribute to the growing scientific relationship between our two countries, which makes France one of the main partners of Israel in this field. I hope the discussions you will have today and also tomorrow at the Weizmann Institute and on Wednesday at the Technion will lead to new projects involving professors but also students who are tomorrow researchers. So I wish you all a good conference. Thank you very much.